The unsatisfying end of the Moscow, Idaho murders, timeline of the case and sentencing. After Kohberger's arrest, the case moved into the courts while investigators continued processing evidence. Below is a timeline of the key developments in the investigation and legal proceedings from the time of the murders up to July 2025, November 13, 2022, day of crime. The 4 students are found dead in the King Road house just before noon. Investigators begin collecting evidence. The public is alerted to a killer at large. Autopsies in the following days confirm the victims were killed by homicide, multiple stab wounds, and likely attacked in their sleep. The murder weapon is believed to be a large fixed-blade knife based on wound analysis, but the knife itself is not recovered. Mid-November 2022. Moscow police say the killings appear targeted and that they have no suspect yet. The case draws national attention due to its brutality and the mystery surrounding it. Hundreds of tips pour in. December 7, 2022. Investigators ask for the public's help finding a white Hyundai Elantra 2011 and 2013 model seen near the crime scene around the time of the murders. This is the first major clue released publicly. The FBI and police start tracing registrations of all similar vehicles in the region. Late December 2022. Forensic genealogy links DNA from the knife sheath to the Kohberger family. Focus turns to Brian Kohberger at WSU. Surveillance is established on Kohberger. Meanwhile, FBI analysts track that Kohberger's white 2015 Elantra was registered in Washington, and note that WSU police had encountered that car and Kohberger earlier in the fall. On December 15, 2022, Kohberger and his father were pulled over twice in Indiana during a cross-country drive for minor traffic violations. At the time, police let him go, but the stops provided video of Kohberger's face and hands and showed the car's presence heading east. December 30, 2022. Brian Kohberger is arrested in Pennsylvania during a pre-dawn raid. He is charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of burglary. Authorities announced that forensic analysis, DNA evidence, and other investigative leads tied him to the crime. That same day, Idaho officials issue a gag order barring investigators and attorneys from discussing case details publicly to ensure a fair trial. January 5, 2023. The probable cause affidavit is unsealed after Kohberger's first appearance in Idaho. It reveals much of the evidence summarized above, including the DNA on the knife sheath, the eyewitness account, the phone records, and surveillance video of the Elantra. The document shows investigators pieced together the case through the fall of 2022, culminating in Kohberger's identification. May 17, 2023. A grand jury indicts Kohberger on all charges, 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of burglary, formally sending the case to trial. This bypassed a public preliminary hearing. May 22, 2023. Kohberger is arraigned in Latah County Court. When asked for his plea, he stood silent, and the judge entered a plea of not guilty on his behalf. Kohberger's defense indicated he would contest the charges, and the case was set for trial. The prosecution had 180 days to commence trial due to Idaho's speedy trial rule, but the defense soon moved to delay. June 26, 2023. Prosecutors announce intent to seek the death penalty in the case. Given the heinous nature of the crime, Idaho law permits the death penalty for first-degree murder. This decision significantly raised the stakes for Kohberger. His defense team, led by a public defender qualified for capital cases, began challenging aspects of the evidence in pretrial motions. August 2023. Kohberger's attorney filed motions to delay the trial and to challenge the admissibility of certain evidence, such as the DNA genealogy methods. On August 23, 2023, Kohberger formally waived his right to a speedy trial, and the court granted a postponement. The trial, initially expected in October 2023, was rescheduled to the following year to allow both sides more time to prepare. June 27, 2024, a new trial date is set. The court schedules Kohberger's trial to begin in June 2025. The judge anticipated a lengthy proceeding, several weeks of jury selection and a multi-month trial, given the volume of evidence and the death penalty phase if convicted. October 10, 2024. The trial start is delayed again. A scheduling order moves the trial to August 11, 2025, pushing it later into 2025. Both defense and prosecution agreed to this timeline adjustment, likely due to ongoing pretrial matters and evidence review. November 19, 2024. A significant pretrial ruling. The judge denies the defense's motion to remove the death penalty as a sentencing option. Kohberger's lawyers had argued that Idaho's death penalty procedures were unconstitutional, citing issues like lengthy death row waits and lethal injection concerns. But the court rejected those arguments. This meant that if the case went to trial and Kohberger was convicted, a death sentence was still on the table. Late June 2025. As the August 2025 trial approached, there was an unexpected turn. On June 30, 2025, Latah County prosecutors notified the victims' families that Kohberger had agreed to a plea deal to resolve the case. Under the proposed deal, Kohberger would avoid the death penalty by pleading guilty to all charges and accepting life imprisonment. This development was first reported publicly by news outlets on June 30th, citing an email letter that prosecutors sent to the families. July 2, 2025. In a court hearing in Boise, Brian Kohberger formally pleaded guilty to the murders of Ethan Chapin, Zana Kernodle, Madison Mogan, and Kaylee Goncalves, as well as to the related burglary charge. He admitted in open court to being the perpetrator of the November 2022 stabbings. This plea was part of the negotiated agreement to spare him a possible death sentence. By pleading guilty, Kohberger waived his right to a jury trial and also agreed to forego any future appeals in the case, a common condition in capital plea deals. The announcement of the plea brought mixed reactions. While it spared the families the agony of a trial, some of the victims' relatives expressed frustration that the death penalty was taken off the table by the deal. July 23, 2025. A sentencing hearing was held at the Ada County Courthouse, Boise, Idaho. Family members of all 4 victims and the 2 surviving roommates gave powerful impact statements, confronting Kohberger with the pain he had caused. Brian Kohberger declined to make any statement or apology when given an opportunity to speak. The judge, Judge Stephen Hippler, then delivered the sentence. Kohberger was ordered to serve 4 consecutive life terms in prison without the possibility of parole, 1 for each murder victim. He also received an additional 10-year sentence for the burglary, and financial penalties were imposed, including $50,000 fine per count and $5,000 victim restitution per victim. This means Kohberger will spend the rest of his life in prison. As part of the plea deal's conditions, the death penalty was formally removed from consideration. Judge Hippler emphasized that the heinous and senseless nature of the crimes warranted the maximum punishment short of execution, calling Kohberger a faceless coward during the proceeding. Current status as of July 23, 2025. There will be no trial in the Moscow student murders case because Brian Kohberger's guilty plea resolved the charges without a jury. As of today, sentencing has been completed. Kohberger is now a convicted murderer serving 4 life sentences, without the possibility of parole. He is in the custody of the Idaho Department of Correction and will spend the rest of his life behind bars. He waived all rights to appeal or contest the conviction as part of the plea agreement. Investigators noted that no clear motive has ever been established, and Kohberger chose not to explain his actions in court. With the case now closed, attention has turned to remembering the victims and understanding the psychological profile of the killer, rather than seeking further justice.